Stele of Hammurabi. In the early 18th century BCE, the Stele of Hammurabi, containing the Law Code of Hammurabi, was likely commissioned by the king himself to show, quote, his interest in literature. By preserving in Babylon the best products of the old Sumerian culture, Hammurabi must be considered one of the great rulers of the world. The stele found with Hammurabi's code is considered to be one of the most important finds today, having been uncovered by French explorers while excavating from December 1901 to January 1902. The stele, when discovered, had already been broken into 3 separate pieces and was later reassembled. It stood over 7 feet tall, with the law code, quote, undoubtedly much older than Hammurabi's time. While it is uncertain exactly where the stele was displayed, we do know Hammurabi had it, quote, set up in the temple Esagil in Babylon. It was written on diorite, which Ira Maurice Price describes as being, quote, a fine-grained stone that readily yields to the artist's tools, and is yet so hard as to preserve its polish and carry its figures unharmed through any ordinary destruction. The writing of script on diorite images was not uncommon, as shown by this seated statue from Iraq. It is interesting to note that Hammurabi lived in Babylon, but that, quote, marble, diorite, gabbro, and other stones for sculpture were available in the western Zagros and Oman. So diorite, while not being too far, wasn't exactly easily accessible to Hammurabi. The upper part of the stele of Hammurabi contains a, quote, bas relief depicting the sun god Shamash giving the law code to King Hammurabi. However, while this is the generally accepted meaning of the engraven image, some view Hammurabi as the standing figure, worshipping the sun god who is sitting. Regardless of who is correct, the main idea is that the law code inscribed on the stele came from above to the noble and great king Hammurabi, who is credited with being the, quote, real founder of Babylon and, quote, was the first king of the United Babylonia around 2250 BCE. In discussing the, quote, bas relief, we the viewers can see the depiction of Shamash, complete with front and side views. However, his headdress is in a profile view, which means only half of the horns are visible, thus concealing the other half. It is interesting to note that the use of foreshortening is applied as well, giving Shamash depth by viewing him from an angle. This is not all that is unique. The artistic style used in developing his beard, quote, is a series of diagonal rather than horizontal lines, suggesting its recession from the picture plane. So with this understanding of how important and divinely inspired the law code and picture inscribed on it was, Hammurabi set it up in the temple Esagil in Babylon. Quote, I wrote my precious words on my monument, and I placed it before the statue of myself as king of righteousness. Of all the columns of law code we have, 16 to be precise, some are missing, and researchers suggest that, quote, there were 5 more that have been rubbed off, probably by the captors of the Stele. The law code itself is remarkable, containing a judicial code and that governed all aspects of Babylonian life. They are so intricate and well thought out that Ira Maurice Price, quoting a Chicago lawyer, states, quote, these decisions are so comprehensive as to presuppose courts hundreds of years before the framing of these laws could have been possible. He also states that in the reverse columns of the Stele, quote, benefits and rewards were offered to Hammurabi's subjects who obeyed these laws, also calling down punishment from the gods to those who failed to keep them. Surely, King Hammurabi wanted the best for his people, but it seems that he wanted them to believe that he had received the laws from the gods, namely Shamash, and that if they did not comply, doom awaited them. Could it be that Hammurabi was brilliant enough in his display of the law code as to keep his people from retaliating by using fear of punishment as motivation? There is something to be said for the fact that the Stele is over 7 feet tall. Hammurabi's law code provided on the diorite stele was the first known record of an intricate law code and has been admired, studied, and copied ever since being uncovered. The features of the statue being over 7 feet tall, having been divinely commissioned, and illustrating front and side views, along with the effective use of foreshortening, are still astonishing to those who lay eyes upon the artifact today.